Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. I'm actually going to work on two stages on this particular reel. This is the Penn 704Z. It's the largest of the Penn saltwater spinning reels of the generation. It's a beautiful reel. This one comes in with a bail problem, and ironically I got a question from one of our viewers that said, how do you reinstall the spring on the bail? Well, this one isn't a spring issue. This one is a problem in that the bail issue is bent out of shape, and that causes it to not complete the full piece of the turn. So I'm going to show you on this video how to take the bail apart and install the spring. This one's working, but it's just not, as I mentioned, it's not working because of the bent bail. Then I'm going to repair the bail, and then we're going to come back and we'll do a full service on this reel. So this one's for Tim. Tim is the viewer that asked me, can I show him how to install this spring? You don't need to remove this side of the bail to service this spring, but I do recommend, and I need to remove the bail wire because there is an issue there. I'm going to use a 1/4-inch nut driver here to take the nut off the back end of the bail. I suspect as soon as I pull this out, it will spring. I can feel the tension in it already. You can see how far off the wiring is here, and that's what's causing the tension, right? When you pull all of that in, it's pressing out on forces. So we're going to take this side off so that I can show you the spring setup, and while I'm doing that, I'll probably rebend the bail. I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during this pandemic while I do this as well. Your efforts truly are appreciated. I don't know where we would be without you and without what you're doing. It's so critical and essential to keeping us all safe. I just took out the screw. You'll see it has a shoulder on it. You'll notice that there's a hole in the bottom here on this bail, right here. And one of the tags from the spring end is going to go in that. You'll also notice I have the bail way down low, and that's critical to how you set this spring. Let's take the spring out for you. And those of you that watch this know I generally like to work on bails without with the rotor cup off. So if that's okay with you, I'm going to stop for a moment. I'm going to remove that spring. When you remove the spring, you're going to notice that there's a straight end and there's a 90-degree end. The straight end is going to go in the bottom of the pocket, like this. And the tag end is going to be out. That's what we're going to be loading for the bail to trip. Okay, let's just grab that, take that and put that in my parts tray. I use a parts tray so that we keep track of all the pieces and parts. Remove our spool. I will remove our side case. We'll come back and do this again for the general servicing of the reel. Right now I want to get that cup off because that's the key to this, to me. You can do it on the reel, but to me it's just kind of a wrestling match. You can't keep the cup stable, and what happens is you go to apply some pressures, you generally wind up banging against the handle or something else and causing problems. All right, those 3 screws come out. I leave them on my table first to make sure they are all the same size, which they are. Then I'm going to put all of those in. Next step then would be to remove the screw that's holding the axle shaft in place. And remove the axle shaft top here to this screw to remove the bail for this. I use an offset wrench here. If you don't have an offset wrench, use a deep socket. That'll be the other piece that you can use to make this work. You can't get a straight box wrench in there because of the cup on the rotor. Okay, so we have the rotor off now. And this is why I like to work with it off. It's just it's easier to do. This bail wire is way out of shape, so I'm just simply going to just kind of eyeball how to bend it in. So what happens generally with the bale wire like this is that it hits the hits a gun wall or something, a pier piling, something else, and the next thing you know, you're way out of shape. Well, these bale wires are very flexible, and they enable you to rebend to correct the issue. Okay, we have your spring is going to ride this way, and when you turn your bale, it's going to lock in that position there. So we want to grab our spring, and I want to take that little collar out that I had. Remember what we said, you got two sides. You have one that's going to ride in the case, and you have the 90 degree, which is going to ride in this. So let's go ahead and put this into the case. Yeah, after you've seated that, what you want to do is you want to push down on this lever from the inside. Look from behind so that you can line up the hole on the arm with that carrier. Get your screw started. Now remember, you're way out of alignment here, so don't worry that. Let's get it started. And remember that you have this collar as well, so leave it a little bit loose. I'm hand tightening this right now. Leave it a little loose. You have to get the collar to clear the shoulder there. Once you do that, then bring the spring all the way around so that you get the lock there. Now you can go about reinstalling the balance of this piece. Okay, with that locked in, then we can just give it a test, make sure that that side's firing. Now we can turn our attention to this side because there's two springs on this rotor, and you got to address this one. This one's working, but again, I'm going to show Tim both sides just in case it becomes an issue. This one requires a little bit more hand strength. So let's take this one off. You remove the screw that's holding it in. That screw has that collar on it as well. You can see how tight this one becomes. It has that collar and a thread, and that collar is going to enable that bale arm to move back and forth. That goes into my parts tray. And you'll see that we have a spring nested in here just like we did on the other side. This spring is the reverse coil of the other. It couldn't, if it was the same coil, it wouldn't work. They'd fight each other. So this is a reverse one. We'll take it out and show you. Again, you have that 90 degree straight arm, and you have the 90 degree bent arm. The bent arm comes out, and the 90 degree straight goes into the slot on the bottom of the case here. Now this one takes a little bit of effort and hand strength. I'll warn you that right up front. Make sure your assembly is clean. There's a hole in the back of this arm. You can see it here. I hope you can see it here. And what you want to do is visually sight the hole in the arm with that tag end of the screw. Now I'm way over here, and what you need to do is we need to rotate this whole piece, clear this bumper here, and then get the screw in. So let's see if we can do that relatively efficiently. Rotate to clear the arm so that you have the bumper on this side. Push up, use your hand strength, and that will enable you to get sighted into the screw hole and get that screw started. Now, because that's got a shoulder on it, it's not going to necessarily line up right away with the hole in the arm. You do need to wiggle it a little bit, and then get the screw in the rest of the way. There we go. Give it a little try there. This one's going to whack a knuckle if and when I get this back on. So between the servicing of this spring and this, I obviously took my glove off, and I also rounded the bale. That's why I took it off. I wasn't able to grab the bale wire too much. But now I have the bale wire set where I don't have the tension that we had before. You want to put your line roller back on, get that screw back through the hole in the bale wire. Just going to get my bale nut here. And this thing, you'll notice this thing is going to snap now. It's not going to be a kind of a lazy, if I've done it right, it's not going to be a lazy bale return. It's going to be a snap. So let's just review before we go any further what we did. We removed the bale wire because it's almost impossible to do both of these at the same time. If anybody can do that, I'd love to see the video, but I can't do that. So remove the bail wire. In my case, this bail wire was very much out of round. So while I was servicing this spring, I also rounded this. It's just a matter of manually bending it. There's no tricks there. What we did was we worked on this side first. We took our bail arm off so that we could reset the spring. We made sure that the tag end of the spring was in this carrier here on top of this little trip lever. On the back side, there was a 90-degree spring sticking out. That went in the hole of this bail arm. We reset this bail arm very relaxed, way over here, so that that wire was weight pointed down, or the foot of that arm was pointed down. And then we gently rotated it so that we could start the screw, and then we locked it into position to make sure that it was doing what it should be doing. Then we focused our attention. With this still removed, we came over to this side. We removed this side to show you how that spring was configured. That spring is the same way. There's a cup in there. There's a tag end that's straight that faces down into the hole in the bottom of the rotor. You can see it here. I can see it here. It's hard for you to see it here, just on top of that bumper. We took this bail arm without the wire attached, and we rotated it again just like that one, very relaxed, way out of sync in terms of where it belongs. That enabled us to put the tag end of the spring in, rotate it over the bumper here, and then use our hand strength. Just going to trip this. Use our hand strength to push this whole assembly up so that we could start that screw. Once we started the screw, we tightened it down. We made sure we jiggled it a little bit if necessary to make sure that the collar cleared and that it was set firmly. And now we should have a bail that really snaps. Well, that's a whole different thing than what you saw at the beginning of this video. So that's how you set the bail springs on a 704 or a 704Z. So I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, I'm going to ask you to subscribe. And if you subscribe, please hit the notification button. If you certainly want to see more, it'll tell you what videos I'm publishing. If you have any questions on this or any others, then please leave them in the comments section. I'll be happy to respond to them if I know the answer. And then finally, if you have a reel that needs to be repaired, well, I do that too. And if you contact me by the information on the business card on my email, I will be happy to provide you with repair information. So stay tuned. We're going to do the full tune-up of this reel, but I wanted to do this one for Tim as an answer to how to set the springs on a 704 bail. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.